Ask yourself honestly, what is the one thing standing between the life you have and the life you want? Is it really a lack of resources? Is it because you weren't born with enough talent, or because the world hasn't given you a lucky break yet? We love to blame our environment, our tools, or our timing. But if you strip away all the excuses and look in the mirror, you'll find that the void in your life isn't caused by a lack of potential. What you are truly missing is discipline. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. It is the ability to choose what you want most over what you want now. While the world is obsessed with motivation, that fleeting, unreliable spark, the elite rely on discipline. Motivation gets you started on a sunny Monday, but discipline keeps you grinding on a freezing Tuesday when you feel like quitting. It is the highest form of self-love. To be disciplined is to respect your future self enough to sacrifice your current comfort. It is the quiet power of doing what needs to be done, exactly when it needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Without it, talent is a waste, and dreams are just hallucinations. With it, you become dangerous. You become unstoppable. Because a man who can command himself can eventually command the world. To understand why some ascend to the heights of greatness while others remain trapped in a cycle of stagnation, we must look beyond the surface of willpower. Science reveals that the divide between the elite and the average is not a matter of luck. It is a matter of neurological architecture. The war within, the prefrontal cortex versus the amygdala. Biologically, every human being is a house divided. Within your brain, a constant war is waged between the prefrontal cortex, the seat of logic, long-term planning, and your higher self, and the limbic system, specifically the amygdala, which is primitive, impulsive, and wired for immediate gratification and survival. Why do most fail? Because they live in a state of limbic hijack. When you choose the comfort of the couch over the strain of the gym, or the dopamine hit of a smartphone over the deep work of your craft, you are allowing your primitive brain to dictate your destiny. The successful, however, have mastered the art of synaptic pruning. Through consistent discipline, they strengthen the neural pathways of the prefrontal cortex, literally thickening the gray matter responsible for self-regulation. They don't have more willpower, they have a more efficient biological machinery for command. 2. The science of dopamine baseline. The modern tragedy is the cheap dopamine epidemic. Most people fail because their reward systems are fried by instant gratification. When you constantly stimulate your brain with high-reward, zero-effort activities, your dopamine baseline crashes. You become incapable of pursuing long-term goals because the effort required feels agonizing compared to the easy hits of social media or junk food. The disciplined man understands the dopamine flip. He deliberately chooses delayed gratification. By enduring the friction of hard work, he induces a state of hormetic stress, a beneficial stress that upregulates dopamine receptors. This is why the successful seem to enjoy the struggle. Their brains have been rewired to find pleasure in the process of overcoming, while the failure only seeks pleasure in the result. 3. The sociological filter, the law of entropy. In the realm of physics and sociology, there is a concept called entropy, the natural tendency of all systems to slide into disorder and decay. Your life, your skills, and your ambitions are subject to this law. Failure is the default state of the universe. It requires no effort to fail. You simply have to do nothing. Discipline is the only force capable of reversing social and personal entropy. The reason the others succeed is that they have built automated systems of excellence. They understand that we are what we repeatedly do, as Aristotle famously noted. They don't rely on the emotional high of a good day. They rely on the cold, hard structure of a non-negotiable routine. They have turned their discipline into an identity, while the failure keeps treating it as an option. 4. The winner effect and momentum. There is a biological phenomenon known as the winner effect. When an individual experiences a small win, it triggers a localized surge in testosterone and androgen receptors in the brain. This makes them more aggressive, more confident, and more likely to win the next encounter. The disciplined man uses his daily routine to manufacture these small wins. Every 5 a.m. wake-up call, every completed rep, every hour of focused study is a biological win that builds an avalanche of momentum. The one who fails is the one who breaks the chain. Once the chain is broken, the momentum reverses, and the brain begins to learn helplessness. The divide is clear. Others succeed because they have industrialized their discipline. They have moved beyond the feeling of wanting to work and have entered the state of being the work itself. Failure is not a single event. It is the cumulative result of 1,000 small surrenders. Success is not a miracle. It is the inevitable outcome of 1,000 small victories over the self. Discipline is often sold as a bitter pill, a life of joyless restriction. But those at the pinnacle of human achievement know a secret. Discipline is the ultimate drug. When harnessed correctly, it creates a physiological feedback loop more powerful than any vice. To master it, you must move beyond trying hard and begin engineering your reality. The biological contract, leveraging the warrior's wisdom. The greatest combatants in history didn't just train their bodies. They cultivated a specific psychological relationship with suffering. Mike Tyson famously said, "Discipline is doing what you hate to do, but do it like you love it." This isn't just a motivational quote. It is a profound insight into cognitive reframing. When you do it like you love it, you are consciously overriding the amygdala's pain signals. You are teaching your brain to associate the burn of effort with the glow of victory. Khabib Nurmagomedov echoed this with a more stoic approach. When Allah is with you, nobody can beat you. You have to stay humble and keep working. For Khabib, discipline is a form of submission to a higher purpose. It is the removal of the self and its petty desires. To succeed, you must adopt this contract. You don't negotiate with your alarm clock. You don't argue with the cold water in the shower. You follow the contract because the contract is who you are. 2. The science of identity-based habit formation. Most people fail because they focus on the outcome, e.g., I want to lose 10 kilograms. The disciplined man focuses on the identity, e.g., I am the type of person who never misses a workout. In neuroscience, this is known as Hebbian theory. Neurons that fire together, wire together. Every time you perform a disciplined act, you are casting a vote for your new identity. To addict yourself to discipline, you must leverage the dopamine reward cycle. Instead of waiting for the big win at the end of the year, you must learn to trigger microdose dopamine every time you conquer a moment of resistance. The feeling of I didn't want to do it, but I did should become your favorite sensation. That is the moment the prefrontal cortex asserts dominance over the limbic system. 3. The protocol, the 3 pillars of execution. 1. The rule of non-negotiables. The Khabib method identify 3 tasks that are essential to your mission. These are your non-negotiables. Whether you are sick, tired, traveling, or grieving, these tasks get done. This eliminates decision fatigue. You no longer spend energy deciding if you will work. You only decide how well you will do it. As Khabib says, it's not about if you feel like it, it's about that it must be done. 2. Environmental design. The path of least resistance discipline is a finite resource. Don't waste it. If you want to be disciplined, you must sanitize your environment. If you are addicted to your phone, put it in another room. If you want to eat clean, don't have junk food in the house. You are the architect of your own temptation. By removing the choice to fail, you make success the only logical path. 3. The Tyson intensity and the recovery paradox. Discipline requires intensity, but it also requires systemic maintenance. Mike Tyson's discipline was legendary because it was obsessive, but it was anchored in a routine that allowed his mind to stay sharp. To addict yourself to the grind, you must prioritize sleep and nervous system recovery. A burnt-out brain cannot exercise willpower. True discipline is knowing when to charge and when to sharpen the blade. 4. How to become addicted to the grind, the neurological flip. To become truly addicted to discipline, you must reach the state of flow under friction. Initially, the brain views discipline as a threat to comfort. But after approximately 66 days of consistent repetition, the basal ganglia, the brain's habit center, takes over. The behavior becomes automated. At this stage, the flip occurs. It becomes more painful not to do the work than it is to do it. You start to feel uneasy, restless, and dissatisfied when you are being lazy. This is positive neuroticism. You have successfully rewired your brain to view stagnation as a threat and effort as a sanctuary. You are now addicted to the progress, the growth, and the sheer power of self-command. V. The final ascent, the sovereignty of the self. The path of discipline leads to a place very few humans ever reach, total sovereignty. When you no longer need anyone to tell you to wake up, to work, or to be better, you have reached the level of the Übermensch. You are no longer a victim of your biology or your environment. As you move forward, remember that the pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret is eternal. Every morning, you have a choice. You can be a slave to your impulses, or you can be the master of your destiny. The choice isn't made once. It is made every single second. Be like Tyson. Bring the ferocity. Be like Khabib. Bring the faith and the consistency. Be like no one else. Bring your own unshakable will. This is the way. This is the only way. When you embrace discipline, you aren't just changing your habits. You are changing the very frequency at which you exist. Discipline is the universal solvent. It is a force that begins at the center of your being and ripples outward, touching every minute detail of your existence. People often ask, how can waking up at 5 a.m. fix my relationships or my finances? The answer lies in the law of coherence. Once you bring order to one part of your life, the mind can no longer tolerate disorder in any other part. The transformation of the micro, the sanctity of detail. The first thing discipline fixes is the small stuff. You begin to realize that how you do anything is how you do everything. Suddenly, an unmade bed becomes an affront to your new identity. A cluttered desk feels like a cluttered mind. You start to pay attention to the details, the way you dress, the precision of your speech, the punctuality of your arrival. This is the psychology of standard setting. By mastering the small details, you are training your subconscious to believe that you are a person of high standards. When your environment is orderly, your brain's executive function is freed from the low-level anxiety caused by chaos. You move through the world with a cleaner energy. Your life stops being a series of emergencies and starts being a series of executed maneuvers. 2. The biological radiance, physical sovereignty. Discipline fixes your relationship with your own vessel. As you commit to the grind, your physiology undergoes a metamorphosis. It's not just about muscles, it's about biometric stability. Your sleep deepens because you have earned your rest. Your posture changes. You no longer slouch because a disciplined mind demands a straight spine. You begin to wear your discipline. Your skin clears, your eyes brighten, and you carry an aura of vitality. This is the physical manifestation of self-respect. When you look in the mirror, you no longer see a victim of circumstance. You see a monument to your own willpower. This physical transformation acts as a silent calling card that tells the world you are someone who has conquered himself. 3. The social shift, the gravity of respect. One of the most profound changes happens in how the world treats you. Discipline creates gravitas. When you are disciplined, you stop being needy. You no longer seek external validation because you have internal validation. People sense this. Your relationships begin to heal because you are no longer a chaotic element in the lives of others. You become a rock. Your family feels safer around you. Your peers respect you because they see your consistency. You lose friends who are committed to their own mediocrity, and you gain allies who are committed to excellence. Discipline acts as a social filter, removing the toxic and the stagnant, and attracting the powerful and the purposeful. You stop chasing people. You start attracting them through the sheer gravity of your character. 4. Financial and intellectual compounding. In the professional realm, discipline is the ultimate multiplier. Most people are capable, but very few are consistent. By simply showing up and doing the work when others are distracted, you become an outlier. Finances begin to fix themselves not just because you earn more, but because discipline kills the impulse demon. You stop spending money on temporary dopamine hits, consumerism, and start investing in your long-term sovereignty. Intellectually, you stop consuming junk information. Your discipline dictates your curiosity. You read the books others find too long, you master the skills others find too hard, and you develop a deep work capacity that makes you irreplaceable in a distracted economy. The spiritual culmination, the peace of the warrior. The final and most beautiful thing discipline fixes is your inner peace. Most human suffering comes from the gap, the distance between who you are and who you know you should be. That gap is filled with guilt, anxiety, and self-loathing. Discipline closes that gap. When you do what you said you would do, the internal conflict ceases. You can sit in a quiet room alone and not be afraid of your own thoughts. This is the Stoic peace. It is the realization that while you cannot control the wind or the waves, you have absolute, total control over the sail. You become anti-fragile, Shocks that would break a normal person only serve to strengthen you. Everything fixes itself because you have been fixed. You are no longer a leaf blown by the wind. You are the wind. Every detail of your life, from the money in your bank to the love in your home to the strength in your arms, becomes a reflection of that one, central, unshakable decision to be a person of discipline. Your life doesn't get better by chance, it gets better by command. We have spoken of the biology of power, the iron of discipline, and the total reconstruction of a man's life. We have explored how to command the body and the mind. But all the strength in the world is hollow if it is not anchored in a higher purpose. Your journey of self-mastery is incomplete if it only stays on the surface of the earth. The ultimate discipline, the one that sustains all others, is the discipline of the soul. True sovereignty begins on your knees. In a world that screams for your attention, the most radical act of rebellion is to turn off the noise and stand before your Creator. Prayer is not a sign of weakness. It is the ultimate source of power. It is the moment you align your small, human will with the infinite will of the One who designed you. It is the spiritual reset that provides a clarity no book can teach and a peace no victory can buy. When you prioritize your connection to the divine, your earthly discipline finds its why. You no longer work out just to be seen. You train to honor the vessel you were given. You no longer seek success to feed your ego. You seek it to be a force for good in the world. So, as you walk this path of fire and iron, do not forget the Spirit. Maintain your prayers. Make your conversation with God the non-negotiable anchor of your day. For when you are connected to the source of all power, you do not just walk through the world, you illuminate it. Stand tall before men, but stay humble before God. This is the complete man. This is the life unchained. Now, go forth. Command your day. Honor your soul. And never forget who truly holds the heavens and the earth.